Hello everyone, Eric Pereira here, and for those of you that don't know me, I've sold millions of dollars worth of products on Amazon, and now I'm trying to put out free content so you guys can start learning how to sell on Amazon and other platforms, whether that be Walmart or TikTok as well. I'm going to show you guys how to do that in other videos, but welcome to this video. This video we're going to be mainly covering about Amazon Wholesale and how you get started and everything related to that. Again, I've sold millions of dollars worth of products on Amazon, as well as I'm an author for the book One Supplier Away. So hopefully you guys can get some value out of this video. And if you do enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. I appreciate it. And we'll dive right in. All right, so before we get right into it, for the start, you're basically going to need to do Amazon Wholesale. You're going to need either an LLC or a corporation. So I'm not gonna cover all that in this video, just due to the fact that I can do that in a separate video, but I'm just gonna cover what you need. So you're gonna need a company. If you need to get that set up, you can go to the Secretary of State, or you can use LegalZoom if you want to go pay a service. And you can do that, and then get your EIN from the employer, from the employer identification number from the irs.gov. And then you can get the resale certificate, also known as sales tax permit, and you can get that from the Department of Revenue for wherever your business is located. And then you just need an Amazon seller account. And if you don't have an Amazon seller account, super easy. You can either do it, sign up as an individual or your business. If you do individual first, you can always put in your business information after. I definitely recommend you have a separate email just for your business. You're just gonna put in your business information, either your employer identification number or your social security number, depending on how you set up the account. You will ideally want a business, if you're using a business account, a business address and phone number, business bank account, credit card, and any of that information. And I do also recommend, if you can, it ideally helps, having a professional email for outreach versus just the regular Gmail. That just basically comes with just buying your domain for whatever you decide to call your business. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, however, just don't spend too much time on creating the company name, but it's definitely helpful to have a email that's professional. People, these businesses ultimately will just look at you in a better light and more likely to respond to. So that basically covers just getting the Amazon account set up and having an LLC or corporation from that part. As for, we're going to do a deep dive into basically finding suppliers, how to contact them, how to quickly scan the catalogs that they supply, as well as show you some products that are currently selling and profitable. So hopefully you guys enjoy this video, and let's dive into it. All right, so when it comes to finding suppliers, what you can do is just go to Google. It's going to be super simple, and there's multiple ways, right? First, what we can do is we can just look up distributors. You can look up distributors or brands or whatever. We can start, there's going to be multiple ways. So distributors near me, and we're going to see a bunch of suppliers, and some of these are even directories of suppliers. I do want to make note, a lot of people start off at this website right here just because it's popping up, the Wholesale Central. They're like, a lot of people make mistakes by going to this website. I'm gonna just show you guys so you guys understand, because they do have an Amazon FBA supplier section. The big mistake people do, I'm gonna touch base at it coming up, but you want to verify the business. Do not work with any business that is solely using Telegram or WhatsApp, right? That is the biggest mistake that sellers are making and using, and it's getting their accounts shutting down, because right now Amazon is tracking how you're getting your inventory, right? They want you to be sourcing legitimate inventory, and a lot of these suppliers, right, there can be some suppliers on here that you could possibly work with. However, you need to do a deep dive. I'm going to cover that shortly on what you should look for when working with any supplier, because a lot of these are just working out of their residential address. They're not legitimate businesses, and you want to be careful. So just, if they go to the Amazon FBA and they work with a lot of these companies, right? A lot of them, if they at all have Telegram and WhatsApp, and that's the only real way of communicating, and I mean, I would really just avoid those suppliers in general. So just make note of that. I don't really want to cover too much about that. I just want to warn you guys, because that is the biggest mistake most sellers are making now, and they're getting their account shut down. So here, obviously, let's get back into it. You can just look up distributors near me. If you want to do a different category, you can do like beauty distributors near me. Like if you want to go like niche specific, and then it'll just pop up with suppliers. Like let's just click on some Boston Beauty, Cosmo Prof, and essentially you just want to look through and see. So if you can see prices on their website, it's usually, and they have an add to cart for this example. Ideally, you want to look for companies that are doing just working with just businesses. So, unless, I mean, maybe if you're a salon professional, maybe you can get a good price here. However, ideally, you don't want to be able to work, you don't want to be working with a company that is offering their products directly to buy now on their website. Let me see if I can quickly find one. So here, Cosmo Prof looks like, does it say? Usually if you can't see prices. So here you're gonna have to log in or register. Usually that's a good sign if you need to log in or register to have an account, because usually these companies want you to have a resale certificate as well as an actual company to actually start placing orders. So that is what you kind of, you're basically looking for. Let's see, see if I can find anything else. So this just looks like a website. All right, we'll just go with that. So let's just say another thing you can do is, let me actually just show you guys let me see. So you can obviously look up in Google, just go to whatever category, right? I'm gonna look up food distributors, and there's gonna be a bunch of suppliers you could possibly be working with. Like for example, Unify, this is a big company that is massive. You would just hit start partnership basically, and you would be a retailer. You'd go out, fill out their information. So this website for, I mean, they have truck deliveries, flexible delivery, e-commerce. You can click this, sign up for their information. Let's just click on it. Let's see what it goes to. Here you plug in all your information, plug in your business ad information. Ideally, you'd be using a business address. If you're working on a residential address, that's fine to start out with. I recommend either a virtual address, or you can sign up, say at UPS. You can get like a suite. There's a PO box there. However, that would be considered an actual commercial address. So, because some of these suppliers may only work with you if you ship products directly. Well, they don't want to work with residential addresses, is a better way of saying it. So they want to work with these people that have a commercial address. So it's recommended that you can try to somehow get a commercial address, and honestly you can do that very cheaply just with a UPS PO box, because just consider it's a suite address and it's not going to say like a PO number when you put it in. So that information, if you have a website, you can get a website made very cheap. If you want, I would do it yourself. It's not required, right? However, it can be helpful, and you can do that using, if you want to go get a website made, I'll just quickly pull it up here. Very cheap. You can just go to Fiverr, and let's just go to Amazon website, right? There's going to be people doing this. Let's see. Amazon, let's just look up Amazon Wholesale. All right, so some of these, literally, they'll make ones for like 80 bucks. Obviously, this isn't required. If you're on an extreme budget, you can open accounts with these suppliers and you don't need a website. So if you want to have a website and look more professional, maybe some companies will work with you just because you have that online presence. You can get started with a website very cheap. However, it's not required. All right, so let's go back here. You just basically plug in all this information, how you sell, what kind of business you have, how many locations, and just put in all this information. And then they'll reach out to you via email usually. Maybe they'll call you and ask you for the necessary documents that we covered in the beginning. So you can then open up an account. Let me just put that right there. All right. So when it comes to vetting these suppliers, this is the super important part that I was saying ahead of time, right? You want to only work with legitimate suppliers. So, a legitimate supplier will usually require a resale certificate. They will request your business EIN number and maybe even the document for it. Those are usually vital for any supplier, right? If they're not requesting that, that should be a red flag from the get-go, right? Any real legitimate supplier will request that. And if they're not, they're I wouldn't even probably work with them, right? I would do my due diligence, because the thing is, like, to not pay taxes on the products, they would have to be requesting a resale certificate. So just know that. You should always also look up their business address on Google Maps, confirm that it is a commercial location and not some residential home or a PO box. It's fine if you're using like if when you're creating your account, right? Your buyer account, that you use that UPS PO box or whatever, right? That's fine because you're showing your commercial business, right? You don't like the thing is, it doesn't matter that much about you. It more so matters about your supplier that you're buying from. All right, so you want to see that it's either a warehouse or some sort of office business, and just not a residential address, whatever. You can always look up the business in the state business registry if you need to confirm. Also, it's definitely good to work with companies that actually have a company professional business address where it's at whatever company.com and not just a gmail.com. Like, if they're not even spending the $5 or so for a actual business domain email, then like I wouldn't consider them a legitimate business, right? Like, any real actual business that's doing like millions or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in like sales on a monthly basis, right? They're gonna spend the $5 or whatever for a real legitimate company email. All right, they should have a working phone number. You can always call, verify, talk to someone, right? They're not supplying any of this information. It's all stuff you should be cautious of, right? They should have an actual website presence, right? I mean, maybe some suppliers, maybe they're old fashioned, they have like older looking websites, they're not up to date. That's fine. Like, I mean, but they should have some sort of online presence, right? If they're having no online presence, be cautious of that, right? You can always look up if they're an actual business using the Better Business Bureau and look for if there's complaints, whatever. Again, avoid Telegram and WhatsApp only suppliers. Again, that goes back to like the Wholesale Central. If you are, there are some legitimate suppliers from there. However, most of them are only Telegram and WhatsApp suppliers. So be very cautious if that is where you guys are going to source your suppliers from, right? I'd rather you guys not, don't even, like, maybe you see a great deal, whatever. But if they're only using a Telegram or WhatsApp group, just know run the risk of your account getting shut down, and then you stuck with that inventory, and you're gonna lose a lot of money, right? If you just be very cautious, right? And you can save yourself the headache of having to deal with that. I've had too many people reach out to me because they've decided to source from Telegram groups and then they get their account shut down. So that is why I'm going to repeat that multiple times just to get it in your head. All right, as well as you should be cautious of any supplier just requesting like sketchy payments, crypto, Zelle only, any other unprotected methods. Wire transfers, I do get asked about this. It can be fine. Like, a lot of big suppliers, maybe they only request wire. However, if you're working with a supplier for the first time, just know I'd recommend you guys try to use credit cards just for you, so you guys are protected. Usually, if someone doesn't send you your products, you can then dispute it. However, if you start working with them over time and you realize, okay, they're trustworthy, you can definitely do wire transfers. A lot of companies would prefer wire because they don't have to worry about the 3% transaction fee. And if you are paying with credit card, usually you may have to pay an extra 3% about charge because of the fees that these credit card processing companies take. All right, then just avoid any friends or family payment. You're making an actual legitimate purchase, so just make sure you're always safe. All right. See, most of this stuff is obviously check your minimum order quantities, see what's required. Every company is going to be different. Some may have smaller minimum order quantities, some may have larger minimum order quantities. It's also good when a company only has a minimum order quantity that's like a minimum order spend versus minimum order quantity, right? Like if a company's making you buy like 1,000 units of one product, right? Just know it's a product you might be stuck with for a longer amount of time. While if they have like a minimum spend, like it's like $1,000 versus the 1,000 quantity, right? You could be spreading that across multiple different products, especially when you're starting out. It's good to test out different products. All right, and also just get a good understanding of like how long it takes for them to ship the products, all that stuff. Like, right, you can ask all these sorts of questions, and just like before you start placing an order. All right, so let me see. So let's say you were doing you were looking for suppliers. You found several suppliers that you wanted to work with. Let's just say like Unify, and you were just trying to outreach them, like reach out to these suppliers. Here's a basic template that you guys can basically follow. And when you're emailing them, I also recommend that you call them. Calling is a great way. However, if you're just starting out, you just want to email, maybe you're shy, you don't want to get on the phone, that's completely fine. However, just know it's something you'll probably want to build up to and start contacting people and talking to them on the phone and actually build like a solid relationship versus just an email transit, like, you know. So here's like a subject inquiry to open a wholesale account. Very simple. Or you could obviously change that around whatever format you want. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. And just basically saying like, hi, whatever company. Maybe you're talking to a specific person. You can put their name. My name is whatever. I run a retail business. Your company name. We're expanding our product catalog and are very interested in carrying several of the brands that you distribute currently, including, and then it's always good if you put in like actual brands that they're carrying that you can see that they have, because it shows that you're more serious versus the generic templates that people are just sending out. Be like, okay, I just want to open up a wholesale account. Well, okay, that doesn't really say much. If you're specifically saying, I'm interested in these certain brands that this company is carrying, and that information you can just find, usually you can just see what they're like selling like on Unify, right? You can see from pictures, right? There's a good chance that they have these products if they're selling them on like showing any sort of picture, right? If you can't directly see any specific products or brands, that's fine. It's not completely required. However, it can help your outreach. And then we basically just say, we'd love to open up a wholesale account and begin working with you. Please let me know what documentation or next steps are required to get started. Obviously, if you are sending this individually, you can also just be like, change this up to be like, I have already attached my EIN document as well as my resale certificate. If you need any other information, just let me know, or whatever, basically to kind of speed up the process, right? If you can attach that already, if you're emailing it one by one, that's fine. If you're also just compiling like a huge list of companies and just like mass sending emails, you can use like certain like tools like Gmass, I believe, or like an actual like email software. And like if you were doing that generically, obviously it's better if you're saying like this company's name and whatever. But some people just want to save time and can always try to follow up later if you don't get a response, right? If you're reaching out to a brand specifically, it'd be pretty similar. I'm not gonna really go into it, but the main difference would be instead of brands, it would be product lines, like what different products that they're carrying, right? And just fill in whatever information you have. All right, so let me go back to here. So let's just say one company, like say you're looking at food distributors, obviously put whatever niche that you're looking at, you can change that around. And like for one company, here's like Kihi. This is a massive company. You can go here, just get started. Let me just here. So what I'm going to show you here is I actually have an account with them. So here, let's just go to their main page. All right. So let me just quickly show you around. So some supplier, like this is a massive supplier, so they actually have their own like web platform that you can place orders from. However, other suppliers may just send you like an email list of like a catalog, and basically I'll show you in a second what a catalog basically looks like, or CSV file. and you just go through and like see what products you actually want to buy and sell. So here, key, let me just quickly show you, for example, let's just click on health and wellness. Here you'll be able to see a bunch of products. They also do like discounts on products. Like this company is obviously massive, as I was saying, and so they have like this whole in-depth software where it's showing you their entire products, the catalog of everything they carry, their wholesale price, what the standard retail price is, and if there's additional discounts, you can obviously try to negotiate and get better pricing on the front end. It also depends on the type of account you have with them. And then obviously if you're interested in a product, well, here it says like they have 0 on hand as product. This product they have 312. So I mean, just look at it. Like let's just click this. Obviously, not every product's going to be profitable if it's on Amazon. So let's just, for example, I just want to show you for this case. Let's just see if this product's on here. Right here. So this is a product Amazon is selling themselves. Just quickly look at my Keep a chart. However, it's selling for $10.49. Yeah, let me see. So yeah, we're getting it for $6.42. Excuse me. $6.42. All right, so yeah, this product, this is why also like one thing that's good to know is like when you're working with like a distributor, not all products are going to be, most of the products aren't going to be profitable, right? Especially when you're selling the products on Amazon. Yeah, especially like this one, Amazon sells themselves. So right here, if you don't know, is that it's a keep a chart and it allows you to see the price history of a product over time, as well as there are people selling. So this could be something you find from another source to get a cheaper price. However, they're like any individuals usually listing it for like 11.37, and they're shipping it themselves. Not Amazon, but I really don't think it's going to be like that profitable. Well, from at least from Key, right? So that was just a brief example. I'll also just show you. So here, how to get. So when you open up account, usually if it's with a distributor versus a brand, like if it's a brand, they might only have like a few products themselves. Or I mean, maybe if it's a bigger brand, ideally what you want to do is get their catalog. So here from Kihi, for example, they have a customer specific catalog. I can just go to that, go here, and usually I'll just download it as a CSV file. Let me just quickly see right over here quickly. All right, can you see this? All right, so this was a CSV file, and it's basically, it's massive. It's carrying all the products. Just quickly show you massive catalog of products. It'll tell you like it'll obviously have your customer information, the UPC, so that's the identification number for a product. If that's basically, let me see if I have a product right here, that's just the barcode. There's going to be a number there, that's the UPC. That way you could just literally copy this and it'll show you, like you would copy that and paste it into Amazon. And let's just show you. Oh, that one didn't pop up. So not all products will actually be on here. Let me see. Let me see if I can find one that is. I've heard of this brand. Okay. Wow, 3 for 3. Oh, brag is All right, yeah. So here we go. What's that? 4th time's a charm. Not even 3rd. All right, so this one's on Amazon, but it's definitely probably, I don't know what price, but that you can just copy the UPC usually and find the product on Amazon. Obviously, some products you might have to just look at the brand name and or like the product specifically. Sometimes the UPC isn't connected to the Amazon listing, so just know that. However, when it comes to, we're going to touch base on this in a moment. If you're scanning, like I'll mention a few companies you can use to scan a catalog, because you're probably like, oh my God, Eric, this is a massive list. I'm not going to be able to go through this entire thing individually. Well, this video I'm not going to cover like using the software to scan. However, I mean like showing you in depth on that. However, I'll mention which ones you can use, because you could literally just narrow it down. Usually it'll be like looking up to the UPC code and then matching those products with the products on Amazon. So let me get back into this. So here it's saying like the brand name, a description of the product, they have a bunch of information, right? It has the quantity, minimum quantity at the buy. I mean, if you're placing an order for that, if there's a promo, the wholesale price minus your if you have a discount. Obviously, ideally, you should always try to negotiate for discounts with a supplier before you place an order, because the more money you save, the more money you ultimately make. So, and there's just some other categories. So that's basically what a catalog looks like. And so obviously it's going to vary depending on the supplier, right? They're not all going to look like this. Maybe some won't give you like a discount price or a percent off, but they'll tell you, oh, you can get this price. Then you'd have to go like add a column and basically take all the pricing and just multiply it by your discount. Like if it was 10% off, you'd multiply your price by like 90% off, so you can get see your actual price, right? Your 10% discount, because that's obviously what you ultimately want to look at. All right, so let's go back here. All right, let's go, before we get into this and some winning products, let's see. So we covered that. Let me just close this stuff. I'll also just show you that we have placed orders from Key before. How do I, oh, here. So for example, this is just like low order value, but 1.3K order. But let me just show you like this product, for example. We got it for like 675, about like 35. So this product right here isn't like anything crazy, right? You're not making like so right here I'm using a tool called Celeramp. You could also use a free, this is a paid tool. You can also use a free calculator by Amazon themselves if you were looking into just trying to calculate your profits without using a paid tool. So 675, you would just go to Google and type in FBA calculator. So this is the cost of the item, selling for $14.99. We're making a 27% return on investment, and we're profiting at $1.84. Like obviously this isn't anything crazy. Like you're only getting $1.84 for selling the unit. It's when it comes to selling on Amazon, it comes down to the quantity that you're selling, right? So the more products you're ultimately selling, the better, and it all adds up. So you're not just trying to sell one individual product. If you're doing private label, I'll cover that in a different video. However, this video is all about Amazon wholesale, and hoping you guys can start with that. And so far, if you are enjoying the video, if you guys can give me a like and a subscribe, I really appreciate it. I'm new to this YouTube game, so it just shows the more likes and is just a good indicator for me that people actually enjoy this content, and I'll put out more content, right? It's just how I get feedback. All right, so let's go into, so when it comes to, when you have that catalog right here, obviously doing it individually can take a long time when you have a massive catalog, right? You can either, if you want to have someone go do it individually, I recommend hiring a virtual assistant. I do have a video up on my channel on hiring virtual assistants. So if that is a value, just go to my channel and just look up virtual assistant. You can look that up. So you can use, there's multiple softwares you can use. I'm just going to mention like two of them: Analyzer Tools or Scan Unlimited. They both have different pricing. Let me just see what the pricing is. Oh, so Scan Unlimited, you get actually a free one use to 10,000 products. So I think probably this chart is probably over 10,000. So you just have to choose maybe like the first 10,000 items. Yeah, like this. Oh no, it's actually under 10,000. So you could actually scan this entire list with that one free use on a monthly basis. Again, that's if you're on a budget. If you're doing this like full time, or you're just trying to do it more than one, you have more companies than one to use, I mean, it's probably worth paying for with the amount of effort it's going to save you. And then let me see, Analyzer Tools I think might be a better software than Scan Unlimited. Everyone has their preference, right? So here you can obviously see if you want any of these. So this one's like $49 a month. Yeah, monthly, right? They actually give you, I don't know why you would choose just 2 or 5 days. I mean, I guess you want a trial, right? Let me see. Interesting. All right. So yeah, you can use one of these tools. You'd basically just, you'd upload the CSV file, and you're just basically going to be like, hey, choose the, like if you want to look up versus cross-reference the UPC number essentially, and then you'll be able to also filter that. That's what it's going to cross-represent, like all the UPCs on Amazon. So it's going to quickly do that, sort it, and then it's going to, you can filter down the results. So you can basically see, you could filter it out, like if you want to see products that you're making at least $3 profit from, maybe 20% ROI. You can filter it all down by that. If you wanted to be dealing with products that don't have bundles or whatever, you can filter all that stuff with a few clicks of a button. And then it'll just narrow down your list, right, based on whatever criteria you have. I'll try to film another video going in depth on both those different softwares. If that's something of interest, just let me know in the comments. All right. So that way you basically would have a narrowed down list. And let's just say you narrow down your list, you put whatever information. So I have a Google sheet right here with, I'll explain it right now, on all the information that we have it broken down into, so it's easy to place a purchase order, PO or purchase order, right? So we just have like our notes, like so this is from Kihi, and for example, we're getting like a 35% off for the time being for like these products. So ASIN, what that is the Amazon identification number. So I believe if I just, let me just go back here. Is that the one? Yeah. So it's on Amazon, it's their specific identification number for a product, and it allows you to, when you just copy that, it's going to pop up and you just kind of match. This is, if you don't know what this is, it's called DS Amazon Quick View. It'll just allows you to just quickly see the best sellers rank, the category of a product, the Amazon, the ASIN right there, and then the amount of sellers, and then also if you're like who's selling it. So for this example, let's just click on it. I think people have been running out of stock on this one, so the price has been going up, which is why it's right now it's a very profitable item. So let me go back to the right here. As I mentioned, so the UPC, we just put that in, and so the cost of this item for an individual unit is 102. However, on Amazon, whoops, right here, this is selling as a pack of 12. So the bundle quantity we have is 12 pack. So you just multiply that, and we get $12.25 essentially. So that's our cost for selling 12 of them. All right, here's like the item number based on like from our supplier. If we were just trying to look at that and like be like, hey, we want this, depending on who you supplier, right? Maybe you can look that up. Like Kihi, you can just plug that in and probably find it. Let me see if it works. Yeah, right here. So I mean, right now they're out of stock. Let's say $1.57. So that price actually went up on this product when we did place it. However, we were getting it cheaper. So let me go back. So we were getting it for, what was that? 12, what did I say? 12.25. So again, you can use a free calculator if you want. And so it's selling for what, 30, someone was just selling for 37. But on average, it probably sells like around here recently. It's looking like 34. So I'm just going to put this price down a little bit just so you have an idea, right? Obviously, if you can sell for 37, I mean, someone is getting sales at 37, so they're making additional profit. But let's just say the price did go back down. I like to put a lower price just in case. And so we'd be able to make an 88% return on this item currently, maybe even more, which is pretty profitable, right? As well as we're making $10.78 per unit. So that's great information to look at and be like, okay, if I'm making 10, I mean, obviously this product doesn't sell like a crazy amount, right? Like here it's saying it sells like 50 sales. However, there looks like only like one other seller or something, right? So if he's selling, let's just do the math here. Calculators. All right, 50 divided by 2, 25. 25 times that by $10. We'll just say $10, $2.50. Obviously for this product, because it's a 12 pack, you're gonna need a poly bag as well as yeah, just a poly bag essentially. So let's just say the additional cost, we'll we'll put it like, so it's almost still $10, right? You just gotta account for, because the cost I have, I do account for, let me see. Well, so I also down here put in the actual like all the fees and everything. However, yeah, okay, I didn't include. Yeah, so this one obviously you have to account for the poly bag. I mean, I believe I do put it over here. Okay, yeah, prep and pack fee, I do put $1.10. So when it does calculate like the actual profit in this, let's go back. All right, so like this product you could sell if it was in stock at the time and you bought like enough, you could probably be making $250 profit a month just from this one item, and that's selling literally like 25 units just on a month. Like maybe it sells more, it's saying 50 plus. So there's a good indication you could probably, and I put the price down. Like if obviously the sellers started running out, so you could possibly be selling it even higher, making potentially even $300 for this item. All right, let's go back. Let's do another item here. Oh, let me go break through the rest. So we just basically put in like the item number as well as the package, how many products are in the bundle. If there's any supplier description, you can put that. Amazon product description, you can like just copy that from Amazon, like the product name or whatever. So sell pack, that's the bundle quantity. That's like how many we're buying in total, right? Like, so this one is just like 12. Let's see. So we bought like 144 units. Estimated sales monthly, 79 units. So the buyback price at the time was $31.58. So when we made this, obviously the price has gone higher. So these are outdated numbers. So obviously when we were doing it, was like the net profit was $7.22. So as I showed you guys that the price actually went up, we're making a higher return than what we had right here. Estimated PO cost, so that's just basically that's going to be the cost of placing the 144 unit cost to buy the product. Estimated revenue, so that's the estimated selling price. So that'd basically just be like we're selling 12 of them at the buy box price, and that basically gets the revenue. The estimated cost of that order would have been $86.60. The minimum, we set like minimum and maximum prices that we ideally want to sell the product for. Obviously, on the maximum, you could probably list it higher. It's just if you're setting like anything with price repricer. And then if you want to put total number of offers at the time, we didn't put anything at the time. If Amazon is selling, it's good to know, put a yes or a no if Amazon is selling the product. Then we just account for the FBA fees. So this stuff you can all get from Amazon. Usually you can get it from the FBA calculator, as well as, let me see if seller amp shows. Oh yeah, like right here, it'll show you the let me see, maximum total fees. So it breaks down information here. Obviously that's gonna depend on like the price that it's selling for, so that's why I think it's showing here it's like 587, was that? No, 587 right there, FBA fee, so it did match there. Storage fee, here it's saying 0, so just make note. I mean, if there is a storage fee, you can put that in, as well as, let's see, so FBA fee, is that matching up? I want to see. Referral fee 510. So I think ours is a bit higher. I think that depends on the price that it's selling for. So there's going to be products have different commission percentages that Amazon takes, usually either 15 or 8% for most items. So you just have to look up depending on the category of product you're selling, and you'll be able to figure that out. This is the fees Amazon's taking, and then just if we have packing and prepping the fee. So I just assume like maybe add like $1 or so, like depending on how you're doing it, like some of these items, like these items require additional prep, so there's a higher prep fee usually. Sometimes it could be lower if you're doing the shipping and stuff yourself. I mean, it could be like way lower depending on like, I mean, that accounts for like you labeling the product, putting like a barcode over the product, and then shipping it off to Amazon. We like to usually just account for some depending on however much like shipping might be for the product to Amazon. All right, so let me go into, I guess, another product. Here's another one. I just copy here. I believe I have it open here. Yeah, is this the same thing? Yeah, it is. Okay. So it brought me to this product right here. This one actually sells like 700 a month. It does have two different variations. So actually, did want to just quickly go over. If a product does have variations, what you want to see is how much that variation sells. So the one pack sells almost like, you can look here. I just clicked on, so this is Keepa again. I believe, I don't know if I filmed at the time of me posting this an in-depth Keepa video. If not, I will post Keepa in-depth video so you guys can start learning how to work that. That's the most important tool when it comes to selling on Amazon. So you guys really want to learn how to read a Keepa chart. So here, sell 80%, about 80%, right? Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just like 700. Let's just clear this. 700 times that by 0.8, 560. So this is how much this listing right here should sell about on a monthly basis. And then let me see. So we were getting this for $10.84. Since I already broke this down, I'm just going to show you guys 1084. Let's just go here, plug it in, 1084. We're making $5.40, about $5.50 a unit. And what I want to show you guys is, so one, if you don't know how to read, like you're confused on, it says estimated sales. If you're like wondering, okay, I don't have this seller app, how do I figure that out? That would be taking you scroll down. You can take the current bestsellers rank is just going to be under product details, or if you have Keepa, you can go back here and go to statistics and look at their average sales rank. So the sales rank, let's just say the last 90 days, 16,892. You can either use a tool that's just going to tell you like an estimate, or if you're brand new, I'll just show it as if you were brand new. Amazon, no, Jungle Scout estimator. Boom. Click here. We're going to plug in some basic information. We're selling the US category. Let me close this. What category was this? Let's scroll down to product details. Health and household. So next to the bestsellers rank. Health and household. Bestsellers rank. So I'm going to use the average price because I just think that's a better determinant over a period of time versus just the current bestsellers rank, because that changes all the time. So 16,892, 16,892. Obviously, it's just gonna show me like an estimate. So it's saying this sells closer to 2,000. Obviously, that's between the two listings. So this is again just an estimate. You're gonna get better information once you actually start selling and seeing how your personal sales do, right? But like for this example, yeah, let's just say that I mean, that's these numbers are clearly very off, very, very different. Maybe we'll take the more conservative number from here, like 560. But you can use this to get an idea, right? I mean, obviously, I think it's probably pulling the current sales, which I think is going to be a much higher number. The current BSR number is a higher number, so it's ultimately going to show you less sales. If you want to take the conservative number, obviously at the get-go when you're placing your initial orders, I'd say maybe use the more conservative number just so you get an understanding, right? You don't want to really overbuy when you're starting out and you're working on maybe a budget. So let's just go with the 560 just based on this. Obviously it says 700 plus. Jungle Scout saying 2,000, so we'll just go with the conservative number, 700 times the 80% that we saw that this one pack's doing. And what I want to show you guys is, say what we want to look for is one, let me clear my calculator. We want to look for like anyone that's selling, let's say about 3% of the buy box price. So the buy box price, when I say that, is, well, so this person sold, ships from and sold by Wise merchant. What we want to ideally look for is the, if you do an FBA, right? If you do an FBM, just look for similar pricing as the FBM. But if you, we're gonna do FBA, so let's click on the amount of the sellers down here, the other sellers on Amazon. Click that. Go to Prime, and let's see. So we won't really worry too much about him. 20. So this person's also doing. Okay, so that's why it's like some people are way out of stock. But 23.54. Yeah, the problem is these people are way out of stock. Usually, what you want to do is look for. So let's do 23. What did I say? 23.54. Obviously, if your product isn't arriving in stock, just put your price higher. Like there's no, you're not in a huge rush to sell at 23.54. Times that by 1.03. I just like to use that as like a number to get an idea. Okay, like these people are priced competitively. Right now, there's only like the one seller. Well, for this case, we're gonna include this other seller. So we'll say there's two sellers, just because the other sellers are like priced way higher. And this guy only has like 2 units anyways. So we'll just say the two sellers. And we'll include ourselves. So we say there was 3 sellers, right? This is just so you guys get an idea of how it works when you're trying to make a buying decision on, okay, how many products am I actually going to be able to sell of this product? And so let's say 20, so you look for the amount of sellers under 24. And for this case, normally you'd want to look at just FBA sellers. However, so that's why but for this example, because it's only one person that's FBA, I'm going to also include this guy, just because for this example, it's what really matters to win the buy box is, do you have inventory in stock, as well as are you priced competitively? So those are the main factors. Right now for this item, like usually when I say inventory in stock, that means someone buys it, they're going to get it in 2 days or less. Right now, based on filming this April 9th, this is like the reason this person is getting sales over this person is because, and they're an FBM seller, is the shipping time, right? This person saying free delivery from April 25th till May 8th. So that's a very long time versus here, the FBM seller, they can get the product to the customer in by April 17th to the 22nd. This is also why, like right here, you can see that the price is, let's go to like the last month, is trending upwards, is because like people are selling out, and like, well, are we using 20, so 23.54, right here it's selling for actually 28. People like the seller get it at 28.49. When they get in stock, they're getting sales with these orange triangles at those just mean the FBA sellers. So some people are actually selling it for over $28, and they're making $9 or so, based on our numbers at least, $9 profit. So again, just also, yeah, if you don't know what Keep is, it allows you to see the price history of a product. So obviously what you ideally want to look for is if a product's price is stable, or if it's going up versus if it's going down, right? If a product's going down, good indication. You just have to make some better judgment when you place an order, because if it's going down, like the amount of sellers are going up, price could tank very quickly, right? The more sellers, that's what this bottom chart is like the amount of sellers on the listing. I'll have an in-depth video on Keepa just so you guys understand, because there is a lot that goes into it, and like really understanding how to understand this Keepa chart and make good informed buying decisions, because that's at the end of the day what we're trying to do, is make good informed buying decisions. All right, so okay, what I was trying to show you guys was, let's just say there was 2 other sellers, right? And there's a third seller. Sometimes I just go off on a tangent, but there's 3 sellers total, because you want to include yourself, right? So we'll take that 560 number we had that we generated from again, just to go recap, 700, we're taking this conservative number, and we found the variation numbers. So from Keepa, the variation, 80%, just about, right? Like if you want to go specifically put it in, I'm just going 80% just because that's the amount of reviews that this product has over the other one, right? That's not a huge indicator, but it gives you a good understanding. And you can also see, sometimes it'll tell you, okay, so this one's saying, on this specific one, saying 700 bought. Okay, so I mean, obviously, as we said, we're using a very conservative number. You could use that 700, or I mean, if you really start noticing sales, it could be selling closer to 2,000, right? So why it's saying 700 is also showing the BSR is way higher, 27. While when we looked here, the average over the last 90 days is almost 17,000. So that's why, like, literally, this is definitely a very conservative number, but on the conservative side, right? Like, I'll show you like what you could possibly make in worst case scenario if you were able to buy the amount you could sell on a monthly basis, right? I'll take that 560, divide that by 3, because the two sellers currently, we'll just pretend like they're already on, and they're in stock. We'll say they're in stock and they're priced competitively, right? Within that 3% ideally is what's really priced competitively. That's what, like, if everyone is fully in stock, obviously it's gonna matter based on if everyone is in stock, then it comes down to the price. But just for this example, because obviously I can't, some of the sellers aren't most of those sellers aren't in stock and they're not receiving in 2 days. I'm just going to give you like an idea estimate on this, but like, let's say 186 is the amount of units that I would be able to sell, or whoever was that third seller for this product, right? 186. Let's go plug this back in at that 24 price. Selling for about like 24. Just so we have that lower price, and let's just say 588. What's good about this product is it's a one pack, so it doesn't need any poly bags. You just basically the sticker that you're going to toss on it and cover the barcode, and then we'll just say we're making 588 per unit. Obviously, you want to account for like the shipping cost or whatever. Maybe it's closer to like $5 per unit, maybe a bit more, right? Let's just say $5 to be conservative, right? I like conservative numbers so you can know what you make in worst case scenario. We'll just take that times 5. Boom, $933 you could be making from this product on a monthly basis, right? So that's, I mean, obviously it's not bad, right? You're making $933 if you can sell this product on a monthly basis. I don't know exactly I think when we were sourcing it, maybe there was a additional discount, so maybe it's not something you get at that price every single time, so you do have to make note of that. However, if you are able to make almost $900 or so, right? Like, I mean, I just put, obviously I put conservative numbers, right? You might be able to sell more than that on a monthly basis, right? You could be making like $1,000 plus for this item on a monthly basis, which is great because I mean, ultimately it just means I think at the time this might be on a discount, but if it's a product you could possibly buy over and over again, that's great, right? Like, ideally what you can do with wholesale is you find products that you can buy, like, that are replenishable and that you can buy, sell through, place an order again, you maybe profit you almost $1,000, buy units again, and just rinse and repeat, right? Obviously if it's on a special deal, then that's only occasional. I mean, you can't do anything about if it's on like a special sale. However, if it is, maybe you see that it's on a super deal and you can see that the price looks good and it makes sense to buy, maybe you buy more of that unit at the time, and maybe you buy like multiple months. If you know, okay, like, I have the money, I just know this product can do well over time, then you place a larger order for it, right? But this way you get a good understanding of how it works, as well as like a good in-depth, basically the whole process, right? You go from finding suppliers, reaching out, opening up the wholesale accounts, ideally get their catalogs, and you go through. You can either do it, as I said, with like manually searching through, depending on like the catalog. If it's a long catalog, it's probably worth using a scanning software that can match up the UPCs and cross-reference those UPC codes, which again, the UPC code is just the barcode number And any product should have a UPC code. However, there are listings on Amazon that don't have UPC codes matched with it. So I hope that makes sense. And then just scan those, can put whatever filters you want. Like if you're looking for a certain amount of profit per unit or whatever, you can adjust that using whatever scanning software you prefer. And then you can, so obviously I have a sheet where we keep track of all the necessary information. However, like if you want access to this, I do have a free community. You can just go to the group in the description, join that, and just ask me for it. I can try to send it over. And again, if you guys are enjoying this content, this video, I think we're almost at like an hour worth of content for this video. Hopefully, I don't know who's sticking through with me this long, but if you are, I appreciate you. If you guys can give me a like, and if you can subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it. If you have any questions, let me know in the description, in the chat, or the comments, whatever it is now, whatever they call it, you know. And yeah, like I'll have a free community that you guys can join in the description, as well as if you want to work with me to try to help you grow your Amazon business, let me know. I do have I'll try to put a link for that as well. So I do hope overall that this video has given you a clear understanding. Yeah, you basically find suppliers, whether that be locally. I mean, you could also like reverse source where you find, say you find like a specific product, right? And then you go look up distributors slash the brand itself for that. Obviously, there's countless multiple ways to find different companies to work with. I just kind of went with this, showed you guys the most basic one in this version of this video. But then essentially you find the products. You can either, I mean, maybe you start with products that you know people are already selling and make a profit from, and then you kind of look for suppliers for that product. By all means, you can do that. I call that like reverse engineering. And I think that's honestly a better way. And I'll try to do another video on like just reverse sourcing, because I think that's a super useful method to find profitable products, as well as, yeah, just ideally you can find potentially products you can buy over and over again, and then you just rinse and repeat. I believe anyone that's watching this video has the potential to be making at least a few $1,000s on a monthly basis. I don't know what their goal is, as well as if you are starting at the very beginning stage and you are limited on funds, just know maybe it is better to start with a different style versus wholesale, maybe like retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, to get some initial funds. Yes, it can be harder. What's good about when you're doing wholesale is we're buying from these legitimate suppliers, assuming you did the research and you actually made sure you're not buying from the Telegram suppliers or whatnot. And essentially you can ideally make a few $1,000s plus on a monthly basis, right? If you're starting out from the get-go, again, just know you just have to build your way up. And you guys, if you're placing orders from like Kiki or like some other big supplier, they'll give you those invoices to be approved, because I know that's one thing, I should have probably mentioned it earlier, is like a lot of these companies you may have to get approved to sell certain products, right, before you can actually sell it. And again, just also place test orders. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as we just hit over the hour mark, so I'm not gonna make it that much longer for this video, but I do hope you guys got some value. And again, you guys can like, subscribe. Any questions, let me know. Check out the description. I'll have a free community, and if you want to work with me, let me know as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video.